Well, there are lots of ways of making puppet heads, but this is the papier-mâché way, or one of them, based on an orange. Now, at the outset, get an adult to help you, not because it's hard, but because you use a hot oven and a sharp safety knife. And they can just give you a bit of help where it's needed. What I'm doing, I've got an orange and I've got some glue. And the glue I use is this stuff. You buy it as wallpaper paste. It comes in sort of white granules. You can see them tipping out there. And when you mix it with water, it comes out like this. A wonderful, thick, clear, gluey splodge like that. And that's great for paper mache because it doesn't smell. It's not like a flour glue which mice can come along and eat. It doesn't go bad, and it sets very hard indeed. That's one thing I need. The orange is another, and the last is little bits of newspaper, about the size of a postage stamp up to twice the size of a postage stamp, like that on my finger. And I smear the glue on the orange, stick the paper on, and then smear the glue over the top. And I keep doing that, pressing the wet newspaper down and overlapping piece on piece to build up this thick layer of gluey newspaper all over the orange. Not just one layer, but about, I suppose, about 10 layers thick. Gets a bit boring, but you know you're going to get a great puppet at the end of it. Well, I've done that, and you can see over this side of the orange what it will look like when the thing is finished. 10 layers thick. At that stage, shove it in the oven for quite a while. And when you've done that, it cooks away and, of course, gets hot. The outside dries, the inside gets hot and shrinks. So in the end, you get this thing coming out. A dry bit of papier-mâché, very hard and crisp, but inside the orange, which is shrunk in the heat. You can hear it rattling around there. Now I have to liberate that orange. So this is where the safety knife comes in. A cut around the equator of that ball. Here we go. Shove it in there and be very careful with your fingers, but work your way around the ball like this. It cuts quite cleanly. It's good, hard stuff. And you cut almost all the way around, but you leave a little hinge at the back. And this is why. It opens like an oyster, and out comes the orange. That is absolutely no good to anyone. Don't try and eat it. Throw it away. But there's what's left. A nice, crisp ball of papier-mâché. Close it up again. The hinge helps you align it. And again, get glue, smear it round the crack, and put on extra bits of paper. And that will seal the whole thing off again to leave you with a hollow ball of papier-mâché. And that seam ought to be, I suppose, about 3 or 4 pieces of paper thick at least. Otherwise, the puppet won't be very strong for the things that you have to do later. But keep on going, cover the seam over, and when it's finished, shove it back in the oven and let it dry. Well, while that puppet head's drying in the oven, I've cut out of a cereal packet that sort of size of cardboard. Roll it around and make sure it just fits your forefinger, and you've got a tube. And in this case, use a much stronger glue to glue it. When you do, and let it dry, that's what you end up with. A nice, hard cardboard tube. And that's going to be the neck, which we put into the puppet head in this way. Puppet head straight from the oven, nice, crisp ball, hollow this time, no orange inside it. And you mark on its surface a 6-pointed cross. 1, 2, 3, about the size of your forefinger. Once again, being very careful, use the safety knife to cut along those lines, and that's going to be where the neck goes in. You notice the thing is crisp enough to allow you to cut it without distorting the whole ball. If it does distort, it isn't thick enough. Well, you work along 1, 2, and finally the third one, and bend those petals of the star or the flower outwards. They'll look like that if you do, and it should be just the right size to let you put the cardboard tube in. You can see there, that's going to be a very fine neck nestling inside the head. But you have to fix it there. And you do that by using strips of newspaper, lots of glue again, smear the whole neck with glue first, and then with gluey strips of newspaper, which I'll do with a finger, wrap them around and around and around, tying the whole thing onto the head. Here we go. Here's a long one. It's a very sticky process, this, so you need to use a lot of newspaper on the table. There we are. We started off there, sticking it to the head, around the neck, several times, and back onto the head. And don't be frightened to use lots and lots and lots of glue, and lots and lots and lots of paper. Around and around and around, and back onto the head. And if you do that, and once again, you dry it in the oven, it'll come out in that form. You can see there the basic head, with the neck, which of course is specially sized to your finger, ready to nod and do whatever puppets do. Now you start building the features, and I think that's done very well with bits of ordinary tissue soaked in that glue really strongly until it comes out rather like plasticine. And once again, stick them on the outside of this and start moulding them into shapes. I'm going to rush this because I want to get through it all, but there's the beginning of a nose. That might be the beginning of an eyebrow, and we might put a great lump down there as the beginning of a chin. Ears, all sorts of things. The great thing to remember is that they won't stick on awfully well like that. To finish off, you need to get ordinary bits of tissue, like a skin, stick them over, and then smear with the glue to bind the whole thing together. That will give a nice white finish, and it'll stop those bits and pieces falling off. And don't be scared to use quite a bit of that. It's very thin, it's very absorbent, and the more you can do, the better sort of smooth finish you'll have on your puppet. Just make sure that all those bits and pieces are moulded properly underneath. When you've done that, back it goes into the oven. And the puppet head comes out of the oven for the last time. You can see what a good job the baking's done. Although it's only glue and tissue, it's as hard as a rock because it's been baked well. In fact, it's been overbaked. I've burnt it slightly. Never mind, we're going to paint it and that'll all be covered up. It's got nose, eyebrows, ears, chin, the works. The last thing you have to do is to take some sticky tape like this and get a thin streamer and wrap it round the bottom of the neck. Probably 1 metre is what you'll need because it goes over and over itself to make a ridge there which stops the clothes from falling off once you've clothed it. Well, of course, you can finish it with felt pens or paints, cotton wool hair, cardboard hats, anything you like, and make the puppets you need. You might recognise one half of the dynamic duo. There's Robin. He's his offsider, Batman. In fact, with this technique, Papier Mache, there's absolutely no limit to the puppets you can make, including the entire cast of a Punch and Judy show.
Know